Well, good afternoon, triathlon fans of Europe. Welcome to today's stream here. This is the European Triathlon Cup from Caorle in Italy. Welcome back to those of you who've already been with us earlier today. We have two senior elite races coming up in the Europe Triathlon Cup series. But already earlier on today, we had our Europe Triathlon Junior Cup events, two fantastic races with two true rising star winners in 15-year-old Fanny Salai from Hungary, and a home win and a triple win, three back-to-back for Juan De Negro. So fantastic racing already. We are here in the coastal town of Caorle in northern Italy, within the metropolitan city of Venice, situated on the Adriatic coast. And this is the third straight year here of this great race here in northern Italy. We're just a few minutes away now from the start of our elite women's Europe Triathlon Cup event. Can see on your screens from wherever you're viewing the final athletes being introduced onto the beach. We've got a beach start today. It's a sprint distance event today here in Italy. So ocean swim, 750-meter swim, one lap. On the bike, it's a pretty flat but a little bit twisty bike course. 6 laps, so we'll be using, for those of you that were here earlier, joined us for those Junior Cup races, 6 laps, so double the distance, and then onto the run. A very similar but slightly extended run course to that the juniors used. And we'll be doing 2 laps this time, so the course slightly extended from 1.9k up to 2.5k, and then 2 laps of that for the 5 kilometre sprint distance event. So we're looking forward to some great racing. Got some fantastic athletes here, and as we go through the race, we'll be telling you a little bit more about those and their background. But I think one of the athletes that we do have to mention, having mentioned and talked about those junior events, was our junior winner from last year, Tilda Manson from Sweden. She's truly one of the rising stars of the sport. She won here in Caorle, won the European Triathlon Championships as well in Kitzbühel, and then also went on to Montreal to become world junior champion. Now she's still only 19, but and still technically could have raced in that junior event earlier, but she's racing with the seniors today, and with good reason. She last year raced with the seniors at World Cup level, so even a level above the European Continental Cups. Fantastic debut edition of the World Cup, World Triathlon Cup race in Bergen, Norway, and took the victory there in stunning style with a sprint finish. So keep your eyes out today for Sweden's Tilda Manson. She'll be wearing number 9. Wearing number 1 today is Great Britain's Sian Rainsley, familiar name to triathlon fans, a regular on the World Triathlon Championship Series. She's had 2 top 10s within that top tier, the actual, I guess in football terms, that's the Premier League of triathlon. Both of those coming at Hamburg. Represented Team England last year at the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, and was also part of the young Great Britain team that took the gold medal again at Hamburg. That's a place that Sian goes well at in the mixed team relay World Triathlon Championship Series event last year. So Sian looking for a good result today. It's not her first time here. She's raced in Caorle before 2 years ago, got her 5th. So she'll be one of the athletes that we'll be looking out for today. Great swimmer as well. So one of the names potentially we will see towards the front from the start. So this is the third round of the Europe Triathlon Cup Series for 2023. First race of the year was in Melilla, which is actually on the North African coast, but it's part of Spain. Next on, we moved on to Caorle in Portugal. So this is the third race of the season. We do have one of the podium finishers from that first race in Melilla, race number 3 today, Nora Gumour. Nora has already, as well as that Melilla race, been in action this year, racing in the super short indoor format, the Super League Triathlon in conjunction with World Triathlon Esports Arena Games. And again, another athlete familiar with this Caorle course, raced here for the last 2 years, 8th on both occasions. So we'll see if Nora Gumour can go a little bit better. The athletes are lined up, they're in the hands of the starter. And away our athletes go, navigating the waves there. And just as we saw a little earlier, for certainly the men's junior event, the wind did seem to be picking up. You can see those flags on the beach, certainly flying strongly in the wind. So that will certainly have some effect in around 13 or so minutes time once we get onto the bikes. But you can see there certainly a significant swell on the sea there. We are of course swimming in the sea. This is in the Adriatic. So combined with the waves, we've also got that additional technical element of that beach start, navigating into the waves, the high stepping into the waves, the dolphin dives, etc., as they try to get a good start and head off onto the sprint distance, 750 metre swim. So last year we did have home athlete Bianca Seregni, always one of the first out of the water. She led the way. We don't have Bianca racing this year, but the athlete, in fact the only athlete that managed to stay with her in the water last year is here. That's Great Britain's Sophie Alden. So that duo did get a little breakaway in the swim. They didn't quite stick on the bike, but Sophie ended up in 9th place. Went on to have an excellent season, and perhaps one of her best ever results when she got a 2nd place silver medal at the ETU Premium European Cup in Holten in the Netherlands a little later in the season. So Alden back with course knowledge and looking to continue her progress. So she would certainly be among the names, perhaps with another Brit, Sian Rainsley, and I'm sure a few others that will be looking to set the pace pretty early on in the water. So when we've got those shots from the boat, you can definitely see that there is a not insignificant chop in the water. This is definitely not one of those mill pond type swims. So for those athletes that do excel in the opening discipline of the sport, I'm sure they will be more than happy. The tougher it is for them, well, even tougher it is for those who don't excel in the water. So this is certainly a challenging opening discipline. So while they are swimming, let's just tell you a little bit of background on this race in Caorle. It's actually the third edition, and this area, both Caorle and the local towns in Venice, Jesolo, has really appeared pretty quickly on the whole triathlon and multisport scene over the last 3 seasons. Back in 2021, which I'm sure you will remember, and for many of us not remember too fondly, we had all of the issues around the pandemic, COVID and lockdowns, etc. So there wasn't a lot of racing, and Caorle was one of the first races to get back live, and that was a really massive effort from the local organisers here. I was speaking to them earlier in the week, and they said to put that first event on in 2021 that involved 600 COVID tests, not just of athletes but all of the staff, etc., working on the venue. So they really are very passionate organisers here for the development of the sport, both for the seniors and particularly for the juniors that we saw earlier. And that is reflected in the number of names that we see racing today and racing earlier that have been here in one or both of those previous editions. It's a great venue, very central European wise, so pretty easy for the athletes for both the east and the west of Europe to meet. That improves the quality of the field. Transport is excellent. We're only about 35k from Venice, so yeah, very popular race, and I'm sure will continue to develop in the years to come too. So a few of the athletes there look to be just struggling a little bit to get around that buoy. You can see that those swells really moving those marker buoys. And while of course the athletes once again as close as possible to reduce the distance, if one of those just moves to the left or to the right the wrong way, it can definitely impede the progress. Now looking down, that's a great shot from above, and what that does tell us, look at that, that's a long line, and there are some gaps in there as well. So what we tend to see in terms of the swim, we're always looking to see what's the shape. That's is the word that I always use. If you see a significant group where you've got 3, 4, even 5 athletes wide in a group, that sort of tells you that perhaps the pace isn't on as much as it could be. But when you see what we've got here, it's a line, but it's also a very loose line. That looks like there's going to be gaps that are going to break there, so that will give an opportunity for some breakaways. It is a flat, mostly fast, slightly technical course, so that does not necessarily make the course the easiest for an individual to break away, but if a group, small groups can get away, that would be absolutely ideal, and that's exactly what we saw in our 2 earlier races in European Triathlon Junior Cups, both the junior women and the junior men. It was a lead group of sort of approximately 10 to 12 athletes. They got away early on the bike and couldn't be caught, and it was from those groups that the podium finishers came. So will we see something similar today? That will all pan out over the next hour or so, probably a little bit less than an hour. We're probably looking at around about an hour for overall finish time, 7 minutes in, so the athletes now well on the return leg back to the beach. Also looks just from that shot as though a few different routes back, maybe a few athletes being pushed out by the swell, maybe not quite sighting correctly. So this is definitely not an easy swim, and that wind that has got up has certainly added to that. So looking through the results from last year's race here in Caorle, we actually have 7 of the top 10 women all racing today, and that includes the full 1, 2, 3 podium. So last year it was an Italian double. Carlotta Misaglia took the victory just ahead of Angelica Prestia, and they just got the better of the German athlete Selina Klamt. So Selina comes in as the second ranked athlete on the world rankings today. She got bronze last year, went on to get a 4th place finish at the under 23 world championships at the end of last year in Abu Dhabi, and to that also another silver in the European Cup Tour at perhaps the most iconic and well-known race of the European Cup Tour in Hungary at Tiszaváros. So she is building up a good resume despite her tender years. She just turns 22 this year. So will Selina Klamt be amongst our pace setters once again today? So the athletes just coming on to shore now. You can see one of the Brits there. I think that's Sian Rainsley. Very easy to spot in the Union Jack Hoob suit. Sian comes in wearing number 1. Now we've already seen number 1 being very successful in triathlon today. Great fellow Great Britain athlete Sophie Caldwell started with number 1 out at the World Triathlon Championship Series in Yokohama very early this morning and took the victory. In the Junior Women's European Triathlon Junior Cup race earlier today, we saw Fanny Salai, the 15-year-old superstar, wearing number 1 and also take that position at the finish. So if she can maintain that run, then she will be very, very happy. So seeing some times up there at some of the top athletes in Vermeulen from Belgium, Rainsley, Candice Denisot, Selina Klamt, who we just mentioned, Michaela Stabova, and another Brit, Holly Elliott. So of course, as always, the swim hats, goggles, wetsuits, they must go into those plastic boxes next to their bikes. Any kit that's not discarded in there will result in penalties being issued, and of course none of the athletes want that. They must put their helmets on before they touch the bikes, and they'll then be, as you see, pushing the bikes out beyond the mount line, at which point they can get on to the bikes. So it looks like we've just got 2 athletes, just got a slight lead there. I think that's Vermeulen and Denisot. Looks like a Belgian and a French kit. So once those leading athletes get their feet into the shoes as they get onto the bike, zip up the or fasten up the Velcro, we'll just get an early view on how the early stages of the racing are panning out. But at the moment, I think that's Vermeulen and Candice Denisot. So Denisot, we know, is a class athlete. She was part of the gold medal winning French mixed relay team that won the combined under 23 junior mixed relay world championships in Montreal last year. That's a discipline, that mixed team relay, that the French have really excelled in for many years, whether it's at senior level, junior, under 23. And it looks like Vermeulen and Denisot, joined by, I think that's going to be Klamt and looks like a British vest. I'm going to guess until I get that confirmed, but I'm pretty sure that will be Sian Rainsley. So that is a very early stages, but there's a classy quartet there of Jolyon Vermeulen, Candice Denisot, Selina Klempt and Sian Rainsley. Just got a little bit of a gap very early on lap 1. Let's see if that sticks, or the other two that came out with them are able to latch on to the back.
So we ask to the spectator, to everybody, if you have a seat, because the bike is missing. So can you describe your bike? It was
so I think we've mentioned a few of the stats on 3 of those athletes. But if the name of Jolyon Vermeulen, if you're wondering where you may have heard that, well, it's actually very closely linked to another athlete we mentioned earlier. She was part of that fantastic, really just completely memorable sprint finish at the Bergen World Cup in Norway last year, where she just got edged out on the line by the youngster Tilde Manson, who is racing today. She's the Belgian champion as well. And she also has a 3rd place at the Indoor Triathlon European Triathlon Cup previously, that they hold in Liévin in France. So this whole quartet, Jolyon Vermeulen, Candice Denisot, Selina Klempt, Sian Rainsley, very distinguished athletes, plenty of success and podium medals already on their respective CVs, and they're making an early move here on lap 1 of the bike. So total of just under 20k today, 6 laps. I think all 4 will be very happy at the moment with the company that they've got. They'll be looking around going, I've got some quality potential assistance here. But not only that, we have dropped some significant talent behind us and put the pressure on everybody else to chase.
4, we have to check. Four athletes are leading, but we have a pack that is
so that leading quartet, that gap is not insignificant at the moment. Look to be a loose group of about 10, but we do know that leading 4, there's some real quality athletes in there, and as we said earlier, it's a tough course to get away on your own, but with a small group, if they're prepared to work together, as we see earlier on today with our elite juniors in the Europe Triathlon Junior Cup. That was the route to success in both the junior women and junior men's race. A small group that got away, from which all of the podium slots were delivered. So there's a close-up of Sian Rainsley. almost looks like 007, but that's 001. So Sian has been a member of the Great Britain Triathlon squad for probably the best part of 10 years now. Very, very good sort of athlete all the way back in through the youth and junior ranks. Continued to improve year on year. She got a bronze medal in the Senior European Championships back in 2021. Which I think, if my memory serves me right, was Valencia. Apologies if that's not correct. But I think it was Valencia. So she has, along with those top 10 World Triathlon Championship Series finishes, relay performances, representing Team England at the Commonwealth Games, she's been making steady progress, and I'm sure would be hoping to turn those excellent performances, top 10s and podiums, potentially into a victory today. So our latest timing indicating around about 7-8 seconds between the front group and the chasers. So that chasing group included several of the British athletes: Daisy Davis, Sophie Alden and Sophia Green. So that does look as though they are working pretty well in that chase group. So if this quartet are going to get away, they are going to have to work hard, because there's a pretty determined group behind them. One of the things that they won't want to happen is for a chase pack to manage to bridge back to the front group, and potentially that chasing process bring the likes of Sweden's Tilda Manson, who we know has exceptional run form at the moment, back towards the front. Tilda definitely excels on the bike and the run, a little more so than the swim at the moment. So the longer they can keep her working hard and potentially dull some of her firepower by having to work so hard to bridge back to the front, that would be better for them. But we will see how that unwinds over the next 15 minutes or so of the bike leg. But yeah, that gap does, at least visually, that looks like it is reducing now. What also appeared to be happening, and we'll get confirmation when we go back to the front group, it did look as though 4 was becoming 3. One of those leading quartet did seem to be becoming detached, potentially going to be drifting back to that chase group. So that would certainly indicate that the pace is on at the front, but it does look like the chasers have the bit between their teeth and are working hard. So now we do have 4, but the gap is now very, very small, and I think pretty soon we're going to have a leading quartet. It's going to become a very, very significant group. Sian Rainsy there putting in a bit of an effort, perhaps seeing that happening behind. But this is a tough, tough course to be able to go solo. We saw Bianca Seregni try that last year. Didn't quite work out at the finish. For her, it's always tough for one athlete on a flat course to take on a significant hard-working peloton. But of course, it can be done. We have seen it over the years. The likes of Katie Zafiras, Taylor Knibb, Alistair Brownlee back in the day, and many others have sometimes taken that solo approach, which we doubted, is that going to work? And actually it does. So, but I think today that is going to be pretty tough. And I have a feeling that we may well now have the breakaway group and the chasers pretty much back together. So still Sian Rainsley pushing on the front, but yeah, she looks behind, and that's not going to be the sort of a view that you want. You're pushing hard, you look around, you hope to see a gap, and what do you see? Well, a whole gaggle of athletes, literally, yeah, a bike length behind. And so I think from this point on, tactics are going to have to change a little bit. So we come through the end of another lap, and you can see it's all come together just as we were sort of forecasting. I say all come together, and obviously not with a huge group, but that those chasers have bridged up. There's unfortunately one of our athletes, I think, has been lapped out. One of the rules within the ETU and World Triathlon events. If you are lapped on the bike course, unfortunately, you get taken from the course. So now we have plenty of Brits there up at the front. See Daisy Davis, Sophie Alden, Sian Rainsley, of course, who was already there. I think Sophia Green was also there. She's a former winner on the ETU Cup circuit, winning in Coimbra in 2021, represented Scotland at the Commonwealth Games as well. So what you're seeing there, that's the very large, now what is the chase pack, and I'm pretty sure about 4 athletes back we saw the light blue and yellow, I think of Tilda Manson, the Swedish European and World Junior Champion. So there's about 13, I think, in that lead group. Sophia Green leading the way. She had a great season in 2021. Several other podiums as well as that win in Coimbra. Was a bronze medalist in the British Triathlon Championships as well, which was last year the test event in Sunderland for what will be the venue for Britain's round of the World Triathlon Championship Series in July this year. So I was up at that one on Tyneside, or Wearside. So Green will be hoping that she can get back onto regular European Triathlon Cup podiums through this season. This, of course, still only the third Europe Triathlon Cup event of this season. Started off in Melilla, which is in Spain, or actually located on the North African coast. Then moved to Caorle in Portugal, and race 3 of the 2023 European Continental Cup circuit, where we are today in northern Italy on the Adriatic coast here in Caorle, just around 40 kilometers from the very famous city of Venice. So Britain very, very strongly represented in there, with Rainsley, Green, Davies, Alden and Elliott. So just gone through the U-turn section on the course.
Closer to the circle, ready to start again.
So here come the chasers. Several of the French vests in there. Thank you to everybody for joining us today on this looks like blue skies now, Saturday here in northern Italy. This is the third of 4 races that we've had today. Already had 2 excellent events a little earlier on with the Junior Cup events. Now on to the seniors. Of course, those junior events, very, very important building blocks, and we have several of the athletes that have raced in that Junior Cup event either last year or the first edition in 2021 have now gone through the ranks, aged up, and will be racing here today. And potentially some of those could well be featuring a little later on. But the pace still looks pretty solid at the front. We've got a long line of athletes. It does seem to be, broadly speaking, that quintet of British athletes are looking to keep the pace high. So it does sort of potentially open the question whether there are any British team tactics today, or whether right now it is just every woman for themselves. I think for all of them, keeping the pace high and not letting those chasers is probably the optimal situation. Of course, if they can continue to either maintain or build the gap to the chasers, and yeah, we are going to refer back again to the run speed of Tilda Manson, who we believe is in the chasing group, then that is going to potentially improve the prospects for the likes of Sian Rainsley to maintain that position on the run. That will all, of course, be played out in due course. We try to lay these potential scenarios out just so you get a clearer picture of some of the tactics that potentially could be happening. But at the moment, it's Sian back on the front. She is doing more than her share of work today, so she's certainly not being given an armchair ride by any of the other Brits either. So I think at the moment everybody is just working for their own benefit, and by working together I think it gives everybody an optimal opportunity to maximise their finish position come the end of the race. Some good crowds out in Caorle today, which is fantastic to see. I think I did say that yeah, this area is fast becoming pretty well known now in triathlon and wider multisport activities. We also had the European Duathlon Championships, that's the run bike run, so no swimming in that one. Format of the sport here a little earlier this year. We've had middle distance with Ironman 70.3 Venice Jesolo, just a little further down the coast, but really not too far from here at all. So it really is good to be able to build that support from local communities, and we've got some great organisers involved here, headed up by Francesco Fissore, who has really been wanting to develop this race and also provide opportunities for the development of the sport, and in particular the juniors that we saw earlier. So it looks like a few athletes just taking a little bit of a rest, maybe just getting some last fuel and liquids on board, perhaps thinking ahead to the upcoming run. Not quite seeing that long line, a little bit of a 2 and 3 across, so that's sort of suggesting to me that pace and the urgency perhaps just not quite what it was 5 or so minutes ago. Always difficult to tell from afar, but that's yeah, why we get the opportunity to try and give our perspective and our views. Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong. But that's part of the fun of sport. If we all knew everything that was going to happen before we did it, well, we wouldn't have the racing, would we? But this lead group still doing a good job. It's spreading out just a little bit at the back. I wonder if just a few of these athletes are just starting to struggle with the pace. There are definitely some athletes in here that have had that high level experience racing at World Triathlon Championship Series, World Cups, World Championship events. Perhaps a few of the less experienced, the younger athletes have not had too many European Cups, and so their ability at this stage of their career to hang with the pace just starting to become a little bit tough. So again, some times there, but basically still all together in this lead group. Just coming up to 40 minutes on the clock. Going to be moving into the final third of the race now. So that's going to mean that we are not too far away, I think, from moving to the final discipline. Yeah, I think we are going to be seeing pretty soon those athletes. There we go, right as I say it, we can see the Velcro's undone, the feet are out of the shoes, they're into transition. They do that moving dismount. Of course, they have to make sure they're off the bike before that dismount line. Onto the blue carpet, pushing the bikes into their same racking point. The bikes have to be racked first, then the helmets can come off. Helmets must go in the boxes. Shoes on and then away. So we've got this leading group of around 10 to 12 athletes. A good group of Brits in there. Let's see how much damage they have done. And have they set themselves up such that the podium positions are going to be determined from this breakaway. Candice Denisot just taking the early lead, followed by Jolien Vermeulen, Selena Clamped, and then I think that was Sian Rainsley and Daisy Davis. So Daisy was the British champion back in 2021. That was a race at Mallory Park in Leicester. That was actually an event I was at and doing the event commentary on there. She got silver medal as part of the British World Championship under 23 junior mixed team relay squad behind the French. That was in Montreal. And ended the season as 8th place at the Under 23 World Championships in Abu Dhabi. So She has been making strong progress, still a young athlete, only turns 21 this year. And she is right there on the heels of Sian Rainsley, the top ranked athlete heading into this race in terms of the World Triathlon rankings. Certainly in terms of top finishes in World Triathlon Championship Series events. So she is in a great position. So getting some overhead shots now of some of the chasers, but they are a significant distance behind that particular group. So remember the run course, total of 5 kilometers, 2.5 kilometer loops. It's a very similar course if you were with us earlier on today for the European Junior Cup events, running on the same circuit, but there are just a little couple of extra out and backs to make up the distance. The junior circuit was 1.9k. This is a 2.5 kilometer circuit. So still close at the front. Selina Klampt from Germany, third last year, fourth at the under-23 World Championships. Looking to improve on her position from 12 months ago and pushing the pace, but just starting to break up a little bit. And it looked like there was going to be a split between a 3 and a 4, but I think Jolien Vermeulen has just seen the danger there. And she has bridged back up to the shoulder of Sian Rainsley. But it does look as though perhaps Candice Denisot, Sophia Green and Daisy Davis just dropping off. So what was from that group of about 10 and 12 off the bike have gone to 7. Now is it going to be down to 4? Denisot trying to hold on. But at the moment we've got Klampt from Germany, Santa Maria from Spain, Rainsley from Great Britain, and Vermeulen from Belgium. So Spain's Cecilia Santa Maria. Let's just tell you a little bit about her. I don't think we've mentioned her today, so let's correct that. So she's been in excellent form. She's had top 10 finishes in her last 4 European Triathlon Cup events. So raced both of the races this year. It was 4th in Melilla, 10th in Catera. So she's certainly looking on for a top 10 at the moment, but looked as though just on the edge of being distanced there as the attritional effect of the pace just at the front just looked as though it was going to continue. We had a group of 10 to 12 off of the bike, then it was soon 7, then 5, then 4, and it looks as though potentially Santa Maria is just going to lost a few yards there, and we could be down to leading trio. Clamped is the one pushing the pace. Vermeulen staying with her, and Rainsley also looking to hang onto the back. So getting some shots here a little bit further down the course. Oh, Clamped, look, Clamped has really upped the pace there. Selina Clamped from Germany. She has pulled clear towards the end of the first lap of the run. Deniso and Green in the 5th and 6th. Daisy Davis in 7th. So the athletes now coming down what will be the finish straight next time around. This is the long straight that we saw a sprint finish last year, and that sprint finish was one that Clamped came out in 3rd place last time. This time she looks as though she's trying to make her mark on this race, avoid being in a sprint finish, and say, I want to take the title today. Now, back in the distance, I can see the distinctive running style in about 10th place. That's Tilda Manson heading towards us, but I think with just 2.5 kilometers to go, I think that gap is going to be too much even for Tilda Manson to close. She was been in fantastic run form recently. She set a Swedish junior record for 3,000 meters indoors, 9 minutes 8 seconds, and then in training did a track-based 10k of just over 33 minutes, which for a 19-year-old specialising in triathlon is pretty impressive. I don't think there is going to be too many, if any, that can match that sort of pace in this race. But I think the gap that she has to make up is just going to be a little bit too far. We will not have too long to find out. Selina Clamped here at the front. Several minutes now since she went through that first lap, so she's only got about 2 kilometers, I would say. Perhaps not even that to go, and she is moving well. Look at the gap that she has built. She wants to leave, no doubt, this year. She came 3rd of a battle of 3 last year. The 2 Italians, Misaglia and Prestia, getting the better of her on that long finish straight. But this time around, right now, you have to say Selina Clamped from Germany looking absolutely fantastic, and looks as though she is going to be stepping up 2 places from bronze and making it gold. We know she's a class athlete. You don't get 4th at the under-23 World Championships if you're not. She went on to further success later in the season with a 2nd place in Hungary at Tiszaváros. So she knows how to get some strong results, but this could well be her best result to date. If she can maintain the pace and the form that she's showing now, I think she's got this one wrapped up. Came into the race as the 2nd ranked athlete, wearing number 2, and you often hear of athletes in these triathlon events sort of joking beforehand, hoping to beat their number. Generally speaking, the start lists are numbered based on world rankings. So if you can finish higher than your start number, typically means that you've exceeded, at least on a rankings basis, expectations. And yes, Selena Klampt at the moment looking good, but that second and third place battle does not look like it's over yet. Santa Maria looked like she was really right on the heels there of Sian Rainsley and Jolien Vermeulen. So last year we had a sprint finish for first, second and third. I think potentially we could be on track for another sprint finish, but this time it will be for silver, bronze and fourth. We only have a couple of minutes to find that out. Selena Klampt moving well, and she, I think, has this one absolutely wrapped up. We've seen success today going to Hungary in the junior women's event courtesy of 15-year-old Fanny Salai. We then moved on to the junior men, and it was the home favourite Juan De Negro, the defending champion, the twice winner, and he completed the hat-trick to make it 3 consecutive European Junior Triathlon Cup wins in Caorle. So having had Hungary on top of the podium, Italy on top of the podium, I think we're going to be adding our third nation, courtesy of Selena Klampt. If she can just hold this together for another couple of minutes. Germany looks like it will be enjoying gold. I think she's got it. I mean, her form is not changing. That turnover is swift, looking strong, no sign, at least visually, of weakness. She made that move just before the end of the first lap. It was a decisive, strong move, a confident move to do that with, at the time, that would have been, what, 3K, maybe a touch more to go. So she really stamped her authority on the race. I think she's going to be rewarded with that in the next minute. So we're getting that overhead shot. That means we are looking down at the long finish straight. We are not too far away now. Just go through this little twisty section. And then this time she will see the finish line as she did last year. But unlike last year, it will be just her. She won't have the 2 Italians to sprint against. She's done the work, she's put in the effort, she's got the gap. She's moving well. And the black, red and yellow of Germany looks like it is ready to take the title here. The third Europe Triathlon Cup event of the 2023 season. Here she comes right down the centre of the road. It looks like it's going to be Klampt for the victory. You can see in second place, Sian Rainsley has picked up her pace. I think he's going to be taking the silver with Santa Maria of Spain. But there is no doubt about today's winner. Congratulations, fantastic racing. Your champion, Selena Klampt. Second place to Great Britain, Sian Rainsley. And Cecilia Santa Maria Soroka completes the podium. Fourth place, right in the mix throughout, Jolien Vermeulen. Candice Deniso. So here is Tilda Manson just crossing the line. We said that she would run through the field could well have done the fastest run split of the day, but just too much work to do. Those efforts on the bike, the great swim from our leading group has proved decisive, and Selina Klampt really sealed the deal, brought it home on the run in decisive style, made her move with 3k to go, and really from that point on there was almost no doubt. You just have to say congratulations, well done Selina Klampt, stepping up from 20th at this race in 2021 to 3rd last year, to now finally taking the title here on the North Italian coast on the Adriatic Sea. Well done Selina Klampt. So, as is traditional, we'll sing our leading trio of athletes. Our officials there just getting them together for the obligatory podium photos that you'll be seeing across all of the Europe Triathlon social media channels, website, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it. There'll be the memories that those athletes will cherish, none more so than Selina Klampt. And in a few minutes' time, once we've managed to round up the athletes, we will hopefully be hearing from them and how their races went. So just a reminder, 1st place from Germany, Selina Klampt. 2nd place from Great Britain, Sian Rainsley. And taking the bronze from Spain, Cecilia Santamaria Soroka.
Aspetta.
So we've got some overhead shots there, just looking down on that press and interview area. Once we get the thumbs up, we'll be heading down there and hearing from our podium trio about how today's racing played out. And we've had the thumbs up, we're ready to do that now, so let's hear from our leading athletes.
Caorle 2023. Congratulations to Selina Klampt, the winner of this European Triathlon Cup Caorle 2023. After the 3rd place of the last year, what amazing satisfaction for you.
Yeah, I never expected this year to be as well as last year. Last year was very good and I didn't expect that, and so I hope for a good race this year, but I never expected to win this race.
So what about your 4th place on the Under-23 European Championship last year, and what about your next goal? So this amazing way to start the season, this.
Yeah, it was an amazing way to start the season. It was my first race this season. I was a bit afraid, and yeah, after my 3rd place last year at the European World Championships, I don't know, it was a good race, and I was very thankful for the season last year, and yeah, this year starts super well, so yeah, let's see what's next.
Congratulations, Selina Klampt, the winner of this European Triathlon Cup Caorle 2023.
So great words there from today's winner and a worthy champion. A great race, a really positive race, I think, from Selina Klampt there. She had a good performance here last year, but really made her mark early on in the run. Didn't wait to the end, made a very, very positive move with more than a lap to go on that final 5k, 3k out. And as soon as she made that move, she created the gap and held that all the way to the finish. The line. Well, good afternoon, good evening, triathlon fans around Europe. Hope you are doing very, very well this fine Saturday. We are here for our final event of 4 today here at the Europe Triathlon Cup here in Caorle in northern Italy. We are in the metropolitan city of Venice, situated on the Adriatic coast, and this is the 3rd edition of the Europe Triathlon Cup here in Caorle. My name's John Levison, and I'll be taking you through the action over the next about hour to hour and 10 minutes or so before we get through the racing and the prize presentations. Welcome if you've just joined us. Welcome back if you have been with us for much of the last 4 or 5 hours. As I said, this is the 4th and final race of the day. We started earlier today with our Europe Triathlon Junior Cup events, starting off with junior women, and then the junior men followed swiftly afterwards. They were racing over a super sprint format. They have had a semi-finals and finals format, so they qualified yesterday, raced today. Seniors, senior men is coming up. We had our senior females finished not too long ago, racing over the sprint distance. 3 fantastic races so far. I'm sure we're going to get another one just to finish off a fantastic day in style. We've had 3 nations topping the podium from 3 races so far. Will it be a 4th? So starting off the day with what we're branding the first of the 4 Rising Stars Junior Cup events. Well, we had pretty much the very definition of a rising star, 15-year-old Fanny Zalai from Hungary, a name that you may be familiar with if you watched the Arena Games triathlon events earlier on in the year. If you're not, I'm pretty sure if you're a triathlon fan, you will become familiar with that name over the coming years. But at just 15 years of age, in her first European Triathlon Junior Cup start, she took the win in fantastic style, running away from the field to take gold for Hungary. We then followed that up with a home victory for the Azzurri, Ewan De Negro, who is quickly becoming totally associated and linked with this race here in Caorle. Winner in 2021, winner in 2022, came back here, all eyes on him. Could he make it a triple, win 3 in a row? And he did just that. Fantastic sprint finish to take the victory there. And then not too long ago, Selina Klamt from Germany, she made a bold move, 3K out on the run, taken bronze here 12 months ago. Was not going to take anything to chance this year. No sprint finish, ran away from the field. Great win. So that was a victory for Germany. So far Hungary, Italy and Germany topping the podium. And right now our focus is on our elite men. You can see them now being introduced by number. Once again, beach start, sprint distance. We're going to be starting with a 750 metre swim. You can just see Ben Dijkstra just about to be introduced. So 1 lap, 750 metre swim, onto the bikes, 6 laps for just under 20k. I think 19.2k is the official distance today, and then a 2 lap 5 kilometre run. And what we have been seeing through the day, and you can see it on screen there where you've got the flags in the background, the wind does appear to have been getting up a little, certainly since the first race of the day. So don't be surprised if we see some significant swell and waves on the swim. Seem to be causing a few of the athletes a few difficulties, and certainly adding to the challenge. But these are some of the best athletes in Europe, so of course we want them to be challenged That will make it a tough swim today for what will likely be the beginning of around 50 or so minutes of high octane action. So we've got a big field for senior races. The juniors earlier, there was 30 athletes in the final. They'd come through and been whittled down from, I think, around about 90 for the women and 120 or so for the junior men through a series of semi-finals racing over the super sprint format yesterday. A straight sprint distance, one race, no heats and semis for seniors. So looking down my start list, assuming everybody on it arrives, we're going to have something close to 70 athletes. So no pontoon start, it's starting from the beach. So we're going to see in about 3 minutes time these neoprene clad athletes sprinting and high stepping into the Adriatic Sea, trying to get the most efficient and swiftest entry into the water, dolphin diving into the waves. So you can hear the announcers calling the names through. It's just while they do that, just give you just a little bit of a background just on a couple of the names, and just to give you an idea of the some of the quality that we've got in this race. Let's start off with number 21. He's from Great Britain. That's Connor Bentley. Connor is the reigning under-23 world champion. He won that in fine style at the end of last year at the championship finals in Abu Dhabi, adding the world championship to the British championship that he'd won earlier in the year at Sunderland. So he is a class athlete, and then one of his regular rivals, I think training partners and certainly competitors today, also from Great Britain, Hamish Riley. He comes in race number 18 today in that same under-23 championship. He took the bronze medal, so two Brits were on the podium that day. And in that British championship earlier in the year in Sunderland, they had a sprint finish to decide who would be the British champion for the season at the venue which will become Great Britain's host of the World Triathlon Championship Series later this year. And once again, it was Connor who just got the edge on that day alongside Roker Beach. But the athletes have been called up. They're on the blue carpet, they're on the beach, they're lining up. Final athletes to be lined up. The music is starting. So what we will do in traditional format, the athletes almost ready, we will leave them in the hands of the starter and get ready for the heartbeat and the hooter to go. So the heartbeat is dropped, the hooter goes, the rock music is ramped up, and away we go. 70 athletes into the Adriatic. One lap clockwise, 750 metre swim. And from that great view, you can already see there's a little bit of a swell going on. You can see that in the way that the wetsuit clad athletes are sort of bobbing up and down as they are swimming. With such a big field and a wide spread across that start line, athletes fighting hard to get into great position. So very early on, you can see number 7 there featuring strongly, and that wouldn't be a surprise. That's Fabien Musen from Switzerland. He's already been on the podium this year. This is the 3rd race of the season in the Europe Triathlon Cup Series. First race in Melilla in Spain, second in Caorle in Portugal. We're now on to Caorle in Italy, and that last race that was in Caorle, that was a great race for Fabien, 2nd place there. Also, he was one of the athletes that took part in the super intense, super short, super fast indoor Super League Arena Games Esports World Championship Series. 2 top 10s within that as well, so we know that Fabien Musen is in great form. One of the other names that's also featured in that Arena Games that we would expect to see performing well today, and certainly performing well in the swim with the added incentive of home soil, would be race number 2 today, Nicola Strada. He put together an absolutely fantastic performance. I was there in person to see it at the Arena Games Triathlon in London. He's also a fantastic swimmer. He's also very, very familiar with this course, raced here in both previous editions. 16th 2 years ago, 12th last year, and I'd say based on his results, he's a rapidly improving athlete, still very young in triathlon terms, just turns 23 this year, so it wouldn't be a surprise to me to see Nicola Strada featuring at least in the top 10, and perhaps even battling for the podium positions in around 45 minutes or so from now. But that will all play out, and as we go through the racing action, we'll try and give you a little bit more insight and background on some of the athletes, where they've been, what they've been doing, what their strengths and weaknesses, etc. are. I'm sure this is going to be another competitive race here, and what's been already a great day of racing action here in Caorle. So coming up to 4 minutes on the clock. They're just coming up to those turn buoys, so let's just see if there are any issues or difficulties there. What we did see earlier with the elite women's race, the boys were, because of the degree of swell, they were really sort of moving side to side, and a few of the athletes that were really trying to take those buoys very, very closely. In a few instances they were actually getting whacked by the buoys. They'd gone too close, the buoys had moved. So sometimes just giving them a metre or so of room can pay dividends, but that, so far at least, that looked a lot cleaner than what we were seeing in the women's elite race around an hour or so, a couple of hours ago, wasn't it? So very simple swim course, straight out around those buoys and back. So it'll only be another 3 or 4 minutes until they're on dry land, and as they complete that swim. Probably worth just giving you a little bit of background on this this venue here in Caorle. As we said, it's in the metropolitan city of Venice. We're actually about 35 kilometers or so by ferry. You can actually take a direct ferry from Venice up to here. Obviously Venice, one of the most famous cities in Italy. And this region actually, Venice, Jesolo just down the coast, and Caorle, really become something of a triathlon and multi-sport hub for the last very short order really, 3 or 4 years. We've had multiple ETU Cup races. We had a European Duathlon Championships earlier this year. An Ironman 70.3 just takes place just a couple of kilometers down the road. So the region is embracing triathlon and multisport, and the great team here led by Francesco Fisore put a lot of work in to continue that development, and I know they have a real focus and a development thought, which is why there was a lot of focus on the junior races earlier today. It was the first race in the new initiative by Europe Triathlon under the branding of Rising Stars. So we had full live streaming for those junior races earlier, and it proved very, very worthwhile. Some great racing, and I think we have already in the first of these Rising Stars series unearthed and highlighted a few names that I think you will be hearing and seeing a lot more of in the years to come. So that's clearly number 2 at the front, so no surprise there. We mentioned him about 3 or 4 minutes ago. Nicola Strada from Italy, fantastic swimmer. Just looking down at the line of swimmers here, we definitely seem to have much more of a group dynamic going on. When we were looking at the elite women earlier, there was much more of a long line and gaps that were appearing pretty early. What you're seeing here, when you look at that image there, you've got athletes 4, 5, 6 wide. That certainly indicates that we can expect some bigger groups to be forming, I think, early on, and a much greater strength in depth. I think we can say in terms of the swimmers here, we're going to see a lot of athletes coming out very, very close. So they're on dry land now. They're doing those dolphin dives to get the best exit. So here come our first swimmers. They've got about 120 meters or so into transition. So you can hear Nicola Strada being called in, but there's going to be, I think, 10, 15, maybe even 20 athletes going to be coming through within 10-15 seconds. So Henry Graf there, European junior under 23 champion, sorry, junior champion 2 years ago. That was in Kitzbühel. So he's a class act. He got a 3rd place last year in the Europe Triathlon Cup event in Yenişehir in Turkey. But we're going to see lots of athletes, I think, coming off the bike, coming out of the swim and onto the bike in very close order. So up to the bike, goggles, swim hats into the box, and wetsuit. They have to go into those yellow plastic boxes. If anything is left outside, athletes will be served a time penalty. Helmets on first, then they can pick up the bikes. So we've got our top 6 there, and we're seeing already some of the big names that we're expecting to see. Valentin Morlec, he was part of the French World Championship winning mixed team relay in Montreal last year. That was that combined under 23 and junior World Championship. Connor Bentley, who we mentioned, under 23 world champion. Nicola Strada, Alberto Gonzalez Garcia, previous winner in Catera, race number 3, so that indicates he's one of the top ranked athletes coming into this race. So as the saying goes, cream rises to the top, and a lot of those athletes there are among the names that we're expecting to see. So we're just going to watch what happens in the very early stages in terms of the shape of the race. Here's a close-up of Strada. Pushing hard, but as we said earlier in relation to the women's elite race, this is it's a flat course, so it's a pretty tough course if somebody is going to go solo, but it is a course that would work well if you can get a small breakaway. 6, 8, 10 athletes that are willing to work, you have a good chance of staying away. But there's nothing really in terms of terrain that's going to add to your difficulty. Any complexity on this course purely comes from some of the roundabouts, a few sort of relatively moderate turns and a dead turn, but otherwise it is going to be a big power course. So there's a loose group of 7, but there's really only a couple of seconds back to the next chasers, and then a big long line not too far behind those. So we'll see what happens over the opening lap. It wouldn't be a surprise if we do get a significant group pretty early forming. So you can hear lots of encouragement, shouting between the athletes here, trying to coordinate, communicate, and trying to get their tactics working. And sometimes it's tactics, sometimes it's trying to use a bit of peer pressure to get somebody to work, perhaps. Here's Strada coming up to that roundabout, and there's one of the Brits on his wheel. Yeah, so definitely is one of the Brits. I thought it was, but I just wanted to get a confirmation of a number or a name, but that is Ben Dijkstra. So Ben has, well, it's amazing to think I've been watching Ben racing for probably at least 10 years so far. He's still really a youngster in triathlon terms, but he went to and actually won the Youth Olympic Games back in, crikey, I think that was 2014, if I'm not mistaken, in Nanjing. Very, very talented athlete, fantastic runner. His career, to some extent, has been a little bit stalled the last sort of 2 to 3 years. There's been injuries and keep recurring, and otherwise stopped what was looking like it would be a pretty relentless progress that he was making. But he did get back to some decent racing last year, got 4th place in Europe Triathlon Cup events in both Halton and Tiszaváros. So just for the benefit of the sport, I think it would be fantastic to see an injury-free Ben Dijkstra get a consistent run, and so that we can actually see what he is capable of, because I think it is going to be something pretty significant. But he always races positively, and he's also in a very positive position here. In the early days, really excelled on the run and the bike, and if anything, the swim was a little bit of a weakness, and I mean that in relative terms. But to be up there where he is so early is great news. We know that he can produce 14-minute or so 5k open race type performances, so he's got the speed in his legs. Let's just hope both today and moving forward that we've got a fit and healthy Ben Dijkstra. Also looks like we've got I think that's Alberto Gonzalez Garcia up at the front in the red and the yellow of Spain. He was bib number 3 today, so the 3rd ranked in terms of world rankings coming into the race. He's got experience at the top tier of racing, the World Triathlon Championship Series. So you don't even get a start at races like that unless you're a class act. So you've got a 27th place earlier this season in Abu Dhabi, previous winner in Qatar about 3 or 4 years ago now. So he was always going to be on our favourites list today. So just a reminder, 19.2k on the bike, 6 laps, so short, compact course here. That means the spectators that are out, and there are plentiful today, which is great, and they've been there all day. They get plenty of views of the action. 2-lap run course in a similar area as well. So it's important that we get the supporters on site, as well as those of you watching remotely, to enjoy the action, and Caorle is definitely doing that. The skies are blue. I don't believe the temperatures there are too hot today, but certainly there was some concern that there could have been some rain, but we have had a perfect triathlon weather today, which is great to see. And that looks like it's going to continue for the next half an hour or so, which is going to take us towards the end of today's racing action. There's Connor Bentley, Nicola Strada, Alberto Gonzalez. I think we've got Baptiste Pass Ahmad from France as well. He was quite a way down the start list at number 56, but he has experience here. Raced last year, finishing 20th. So definitely well on track to significantly improve his performance from that first appearance in Caorle last year. So Nicola Strada continuing to be very, very visible and active. Henry Graf, who led out the swim from Germany, can he make it a German double with Selina Klamt having taken the female elite senior title about an hour and a half ago? Fantastic run performance from Selina, improving from her bronze medal last year in dominant style, really. Attacked the run with fully 3 kilometers to go before we'd even completed the first lap, and ran away from the field for a great victory. So it looks like that lead group has settled to 8 at the moment, and you have to say, at least visually, they are working well together. Looks like we've got Ben Dijkstra on the front. We've got Gonzalez ready to take over. We've seen Connor Bentley featuring strongly. We've seen Nicola Strada featuring. We've seen Baptiste Passamon as well. So I don't think these guys are going to be hanging around for some of the talent that is chasing them down. They know they've got plenty of experience and skills amongst them. They don't need to be waiting around for anyone else. They've got the strength and the talent to be able to go hard from now and still come out and be challenging for victory. So the other Italian there, that's Crociani, Alessio Crociani. He's the current Italian champion. He's another that is racing here in Caorle for the 3rd time. 13th 2 years ago, 9th 12 months ago. Can he continue that trend with an even higher finish this time around? At the moment, he is certainly doing everything to put himself right in position to try and achieve just that. So once again, Strada on the front. So you can see they're working well there. We've got the line on the left of the screen. The athlete comes through. I'm just coming up to a roundabout, but yeah, the athlete comes through, just keeps the pace high, then pulls over to the side after 15-20 seconds. They get a bit of a micro rest. The next athlete comes through, keeps the pace high, and that's what allows a group to typically be able to maintain a significantly higher pace than an individual possibly can. That's why so often you'll see towards the end of those stages of the Tour de France, always seems remarkable how that peloton always manages to just catch those breakaway riders coming into the last 2 or 3K. Well, that's the reason. They know from experience just how much quicker they can go. And at the moment, at least visually, this leading 8 are doing a fine job. In this case, of preventing the chasers from bridging up to them. Let's see if they can maintain that all the way to the finish. So we're probably already halfway into the race. 26 minutes down and probably about the same to go. Got the two French athletes, Valentin Morlec and Baptiste Passam on the front. So I think we're moving well into the second half of the bike leg now. There's a big chase pack, perhaps even a slightly too big chase pack, because that group at the front, they're just about the right size. They're all working well together. They all look as though they're on the same page. They realise that they're in a great position. So amongst those athletes, we have got Conor Bentley from Great Britain, Henry Graf from Germany, Alberto Gonzalez from Spain, Valentin Morlec, France, Ben Dijkstra, Great Britain, Baptiste Passamard from France, Alessio Crociani from Italy, and there is one other. Apologies, I don't have the name. I'm going to keep my eyes peeled. So I've just given you 7, and we can see that we've got 8 athletes in there. Who is the 8th athlete? So it's Conor Bentley, number 21. Pace is still high, and one of the benefits of a relatively small group like this, and they all by now have got well used to how each person is riding. They're taking those corners. They're not too technical, to be honest. We are in dry weather, but they are very efficient and speedily navigating those. So we're not getting so much of that bunching up that can happen when the group gets too big. Moving really, really well. So again, looks like Nicola Strada on the front. See those distinctive handlebars on his bike. So they incorporate the handlebars and the stem in a V that all sort of joins up with the forks for additional aerodynamic benefits. So you've got the very, very tall figure of Henry Graf in the black and white of Germany. He won that European Junior Champs in Kitzbühel a couple of years ago. I think he held off Great Britain's Daniel Dixon that day, and Dixon has certainly gone on to some great performances since then. So that shows you Henry Graf is a talent in his own right, and he's put himself in a great position so far, part of this leading breakaway group of 8. So to some extent you'd say that elite men's race is following a pretty similar pattern to the 3 races that we've had so far. in that we've had a breakaway. It's not been from one athlete or two, just been a group of between sort of 6, 7 and up to 12 athletes. They've managed to get away early and make that stick, and that just seems to be the perfect recipe for success here on this flat, fast, multi-lap course here in Caorle. So there's not going to be too much longer on the bike course. I think they are either on or approaching the final bike loop. Maybe another, perhaps 4 to 4, possibly 5 minutes of riding action. That is all that is left. So I think we are on the final lap now. Well, whatever happens today, nobody at the end of this is going to accuse Nicola Strada of not doing his share of the work today. Along with Dijkstra and Connor Bentley in particular, I'd say those trio have been very much to the fore in this breakaway, keeping the pace high, and it looks as though this group of 8 are certainly going to stay away to the finish. And I would say with the quality that they've got, I would be very, very surprised if anybody else is going to be able to run up to certainly to a podium spot past them at the finish. They're starting to look around now, I think, trying to optimize where they are in the pack in terms of getting into transition, getting in any last fluid. I think if anyone was going to have any last minute nutrition, maybe a gel, that would have already gone in to the system just to get that working. But pretty soon we are going to be seeing those athletes jostling, not jostling physically, but trying to get into position for the dismount. They're going to be reaching down to the Velcro on their bike shoes and looking to have an efficient dismount and entry into T2, at which point it will be rack the bikes, deposit the helmet into the transition box and head out for a very rapid 5-kilometer run, 2 laps. Our final race of 4. Fantastic day of racing. Who will be our 4th and final champion today to join Fanny Salai from Hungary, Ewan Denigro from Italy, Selina Klamt from Germany. So I mentioned earlier the Alberto Gonzalez Garcia from Spain has a World Triathlon Championship experience. Well, so too does Valentin Morlec from France. He is one of the athletes in this group. But let's just break off from that as our 8 athletes dismount and head into T2. So they'll be looking for an efficient transition here. Get the bikes into the racks, helmets into the box, shoes on, and then go, go, go. who's going to be first out onto the run. Looks like it's Alberto Garcia, Gonzalez Garcia. Connor Bentley just a little slow through transition there perhaps. He's the under-23 world champion from Abu Dhabi. So we know he's got the talent. That was over the Olympic distance, sprint distance today. In the early stages, it's Gonzalez Garcia. Race number 3 today. And we're going to have around 14 to 15 minutes of running to determine today's champion. Here come the chasers. So the gap is not huge in time, but in relative performance, given the quality that's up front, I'd be very surprised if our podium does not come from our breakaway 8. So it's Alberto Gonzalez Garcia is up front. I think it was Ben Dijkstra and Italy's Alessio Crociani are the duo closest to him, trying to stay with the fast early pace of the Spanish athlete. Crociani certainly, if he can maintain this, looks as though he's going to improve and continue the improvement that he's shown. 13th 2 years ago, 9th last year. So you're going to take another step forward, and if that step can be big enough, will it end up with him on the podium? Well, the next 10 or 11 minutes will let us know the answer to that question. The Spaniard showing maybe a little sign of fatigue there. Dijkstra moves up into the lead. And Connor Bentley, he said he had a little bit of a slightly lackluster transition, but it appears to have brushed that aside very quickly and moved up into that leading trio. So leading the way at the moment is a trio: Ben Dijkstra, Great Britain; Alessio Crociani, Italy; Connor Bentley, Great Britain; and our early leader, Alberto Gonzalez Garcia, perhaps just showing the first signs of that effort. He went out strongly, but is he going to be able to fight back? Have to say, as we mentioned right at the beginning of this, it is great to see Ben Dijkstra back racing, healthy and competitive, and that's not just because, as you can probably tell, I'm a Brit, but genuinely I think for the wider sport, Ben Dijkstra has shown, and those I was going to say glimpses is not fair, it's more than glimpses, but he's shown the potential and the talent that he's got for many, many years. And it's just been frustrating to watch on, but only a fraction, I'm sure, of the frustration that Ben has had himself the last 2 or 3 years, that he's just not been able to, through injury, illness, sickness, etc., not been able to get that consistency of training and to be able to show the ability that we know that he's got. So whatever happens over the next 9 or 10 minutes, I think we just have to tip a cap to Ben and say this is great, and let's just hope that this is a trend that can continue and we see Ben Dijkstra back to his best. Connor Bentley, the other Brit here right up at the front, he is a man must be really full of confidence. He's been around and about the Great Britain team and the elite domestic scene for quite a number of years, and with the depth of talent of the Great Britain squad going back for several years, it's been pretty difficult to be able to actually make a mark, but he did that in the best possible way last year, winning the under-23 World Championship title over the standard distance in Abu Dhabi, and did it in really, really impressive style. That added to his British Championship win. And so, as they say, success breeds success. That adds confidence. And it looks like Connor Bentley is showing that confidence. He's moved into the lead. So we're now on what will be the finish straight. This time around, they will bear left to start the second lap. And so it is Dijkstra, Bentley and Crociani. So it is still that leading 8 athletes off the bike are the first through at the end of that first lap. So that those 8 athletes were Ben Dijkstra, Connor Bentley, Henry Graf, Baptiste Passamont, Alberto Gonzalez Garcia, Alessio Crociani, Valentin Morlek and Nicola Strada. So we've got a trio up front, but we just caught a glimpse there of France's Valentin Morlek. I have to say, he was looking pretty good, and he looks as though he is bridging up nicely to this leading trio. And he has made that look pretty effortless. That is potentially great pacing from Morlek. He did race the last Europe Triathlon Cup race, which was in Caorle in Portugal. Got a 10th place there. He does have experience here in Caorle, 12th at the first edition of this race 2 years ago. And like Connor Bentley, he has a World Championship gold medal on his CV from last year. In his case, it was in the under-23 and junior mixed team relay for France. So just as he bridges up, have the 2 Brits just raised the pace again, maybe sensing the Frenchman approaching. Because 1 minute Morlek was behind, then he was right back on the shoulder, and then almost as quickly Dijkstra and Bentley appear to have just raised the tempo again and pulled away. So there we go, we can see well, not a significant but a clear gap now. The Brits really have upped the pace. Ben Dijkstra, Connor Bentley, shoulder to shoulder. I'm pretty sure these guys will have, well, they'll know each other inside out. I'm pretty sure they will have trained extensively together. I think both are based at Loughborough University, which is one of the performance centres for Great Britain Triathlon. Ben certainly originates from, I think, Leicester, or Leicestershire certainly, and Connor is based in Loughborough. So is it going to be a British 1-2, or can Morlech fight back once again? So we really have some class here at the front. We've got at the front the current world under-23 champion, Ben Dijkstra, former youth Olympic champion, and just behind Valentin Morlech, the reigning under-23 junior mixed team relay gold medalist with Team France. We're heading into the final stages. We're probably only about 3 or 4 minutes away. We'll see the guys. They will shortly do, I think it's a right hand turn. There's a little sort of right left section, and then pretty soon after that they come onto that long finish straight. We'll get the overhead shot, I'm sure, and then it will be one long straight finish to the finish line. Who has got what it takes? This is a fantastic end, race 4, to what has been a brilliant day of triathlon action here in Italy. The 2023 edition of the Europe Triathlon Cup Caorle has exceeded all expectations. Morlech is fighting back. We could have a 3-man sprint to decide gold, silver and bronze. It looks like Bentley is just trying to put the pressure on. It's not yet a full sprint, but you can see he just gradually turning the screw, putting the pressure on. Will that effort provide the necessary attrition just to manage to put some space behind Dijkstra and Morlech, who, if it comes to it, who has got the sprinting credentials? I know back in the day, certainly Ben has exceptional cross-country performances. I've no doubt that those running days will surely have included at least some track racing as well. But Bentley is flowing there, and I think he's just continuing just to gradually put the pressure on. I think he wants to just open that gap up gently. It looks as though he doesn't want it to come down to an absolute full all-out sprint. Dijkstra is holding on. The gap is growing, but it's not yet decisive. I think Morlech, maybe Morlech still got a chance, but Crociani is fighting back as well. Now we're getting the overhead shot. This is the finish straight. We're going to be seeing behind the finish line now. Here are our athletes there heading towards the line. It looks like Connor Bentley is his effort. He's been raising the pace up and up, and I think here we go. Connor Bentley, the world under-23 champion. He has been absolutely perfect. Just overcame that slow transition, and he is going to take the championship here today. Europe Triathlon Cup Caorle gold medalist Connor Bentley, British double Ben Dijkstra, and to take the bronze medal from France, Valentin Morlech. And the two Brits embrace. I think both of those guys will go home from here exceptionally happy. Great racing. Connor Bentley just backing up those performances that he showed last year. British senior champion, world under-23 champion, and it just goes to show what can happen when you turn good performances, top 10s and podiums into wins. You get one, and now Connor Bentley is on a roll. Fantastic racing from Connor. And for Ben Dijkstra, well, let's just have our fingers crossed. Maybe we, as they say, wrap him in cotton wool. We know he's a talent. We know what he can do. We know his potential. Let's just hope that we can keep him in one piece, and for his own benefit, his own enjoyment, his own love of the sport, we get to see exactly what Ben Dijkstra is capable of. But there we go, 4 races today, 2 Europe Triathlon Junior Cups, the Europe Triathlon Senior Cup races, 4 winners, 4 nations. Congratulations to Fanny Salai from Hungary and Juan Denigro from Italy for our juniors. And then for our seniors, Selina Klamt from Germany. And rounding off the day, the final race of the day, Great Britain topping the podium, courtesy of Connor Bentley. So I'm sure we will see our top 3, if not already. They'll be getting lined up for the obligatory sort of 1, 2, 3 photographs in front of the finish line. And then shortly after that, I'll be getting the thumbs up from down on the ground coming up soon. And hopefully we'll get a chance to hear from today's winner, Connor Bentley, about how it went. And right on cue, I've got that now, so let's go down to the ground and hear from Connor Bentley.
Congratulations for a so great result and a race that put you on the top of the podium. When did you realize that you were winning?
About 30 metres from the finish line, and that was about it. I'd say, like, Ben had me racing real honest the whole way. It was on from the gun, and I'm over the moon to finish first. But again, we've shown that British racing's still there for me and Ben. So yeah, so we're really happy.
What was your hardest moment in the race?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Harder.
Oh, hardest. Well, at first I thought it was the swim. And we got on the bike and I thought it was a bike. And then we got to the run and I was like, it's definitely the run. Where that first lap of the run was, I was like, I don't know if I could hold on to these guys at the front. But I was sort of doing every step as I could, and I was just trying to control my breathing. And yeah, it turns out the second lap I got into my rhythm and we stretched a little bit away and a bit of back and forth with me and Ben. And then yeah, it just seemed to all play together for me. So yeah, I was really happy.
And what does it mean for you, this result?
Oh, it's great. It's really set my season up that, so I couldn't ask for a better season opener. Yeah, there's a few things I need to take away from this, or a few things I can learn from, but other than that, yeah, it means a lot to me.
Bentley O'Connor, girlfriend and sister, please. This is a very romantic moment for you. Thank you very much. Bentley O'Connor, the winner.
Fantastic racing from Connor Bentley. You can see the 2 Brits there. Connor Bentley first, Ben Dijkstra silver, Valentin Morlek taking the bronze. The times are just coming up on the screen. There is your top 10. What a fantastic way to finish a great day of racing here in northern Italy, in Caorle, just up the Adriatic coast from Venice. It's been fantastic, 4 fantastic races. It's been an absolute pleasure to be here. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have been with us all day, massive thank you. Hope you've enjoyed it too. we will be back very, very soon with more Europe Triathlon action. Let's just hope that this is a sign of what's to come. We've really enjoyed today. The racing has been brilliant. My name's been John Levison. A big thank you to all of the organisers that put on this great event, the production team that have put the live streaming and everything together, and the million other people that I don't even see and know that go behind the scenes to make these things happen. It's been fantastic. I look forward to joining you again soon at another triathlon. Until then, have a great evening, and we'll be back with you at a race very, very soon. For now, good evening and goodbye.